Conversation Casanova by Dave Perrotta. Picture this: you're grabbing coffee, maybe at a party, or just standing in line somewhere totally ordinary. Then you spot him. Some regular-looking guy, nothing particularly special about his appearance. No designer clothes or movie star looks. But here's the thing. Within just a few minutes of talking to someone, he's got them completely hooked. They're laughing at everything he says, their whole face lights up, and there's this undeniable spark happening right in front of you. And you're standing there thinking, what on earth is this guy's secret? How does he make it look so ridiculously easy? Dave Perrotta used to be that person on the sidelines, watching and wondering. Back in middle school, he was the kid standing alone by the stairs before school started, feeling like he didn't belong anywhere. He grew up with a stutter, was painfully withdrawn, and doctors even wondered if he might be on the autism spectrum. The thought of approaching new people, especially women he found attractive, felt about as natural as trying to read ancient hieroglyphics blindfolded. He was basically locked in a cell made entirely of his own fear and self-doubt. Then something clicked. He got tired of being a spectator in his own story. He wanted to actually connect with people. He wanted to feel confident walking into a room. He wanted, as he puts it so simply, to have a life worth living. So he threw himself into one of the most awkward, humbling, but ultimately game-changing journeys you could imagine. He devoured books, forced himself into uncomfortable situations, made so many cringe-worthy mistakes his friends probably lost count, but he never quit learning. Eventually, he tracked down mentors who were absolute naturals at conversation, and he studied them like a scientist, not to steal their pickup lines, but to crack the code of what was really happening beneath the surface. What he uncovered became Conversation Casanova, and let me be crystal clear. This isn't some sleazy pickup artist manual filled with manipulative tricks. This is a genuine roadmap to unlocking one of the most essential human abilities, connecting with anyone, anywhere, with real confidence and authenticity. Today, we're going to walk through the system he discovered together. We're pulling back the curtain on what looks like pure magic, and revealing that it's actually a learnable set of mindsets and skills that anyone can master. By the end of this, you won't just understand how those seemingly gifted people make connection look effortless, you'll have the blueprint to become one of them. And here's the beautiful part. This isn't about faking it, or becoming someone you're not. It's about unleashing the most confident, genuine, and magnetic version of yourself that's been waiting to come out all along. So where does a transformation like this actually begin? Is it about finding the perfect opening line, wearing the right outfit, being in the right place at the right time? Nope. It starts somewhere most people never even think to look, inside your own head. Dave Perrotta makes it incredibly clear that before you can transform your conversations with others, you've got to rebuild your internal foundation. Think about constructing a house. You could have the most stunning architecture and gorgeous furniture, but if you build it on swampy, unstable ground, the whole thing's coming down the moment a storm hits. Your mindsets are that foundation. The first pillar is beautifully simple yet incredibly powerful. You are responsible for your life. Yeah, it sounds obvious, but seriously, how many people actually live this way? Most people just drift along, reacting to whatever life throws at them. They take a job because it was there, they date someone because they happen to cross paths, and when things go sideways, they blame the universe for dealing them a bad hand. Dave calls this living a reactive life. But someone who genuinely connects with people, someone who has real options, doesn't leave their life up to chance. They get that, while they can't control every single thing that happens, they can always control how they respond. When a conversation crashes and burns, they don't blame the other person for being cold or stuck up. Instead, they ask themselves, what could I have done differently here? How can I lead this better next time? When you take full responsibility, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the architect of your reality. You grab the steering wheel of your own life. The second pillar is equally crucial. You are enough. Deep down, so many of us walk around carrying this hidden belief that we're somehow incomplete or lacking. We think we need the right career, the right bank account, or validation from attractive people to finally feel whole. We're constantly hunting for approval from the outside world to patch up some void on the inside. This creates this needy, desperate energy that people can sense from across the room. When you approach someone with the subconscious mission of getting their approval, the whole conversation becomes a performance. It's shallow, it feels fake, and it inevitably crashes. But when you truly believe deep in your bones that you're already complete, that you don't need anyone else's stamp of approval to feel worthy, everything shifts. Your conversations stop being about taking and become about giving, sharing, and genuinely discovering another person. You stop performing to impress and start engaging to connect. That's the difference between a shallow transaction at a bar and a real human moment. You begin living by your own values instead of desperately seeking applause for meeting someone else's standards. The third pillar gives your life direction, a man with purpose. People in general, and women especially, are magnetically drawn to someone who knows where they're headed. A man with a mission, a passion, something bigger than just dating or getting validation, carries a completely different energy. He's got this look in his eyes that says, I'm on a journey, and it's going somewhere meaningful. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be finding the cure for cancer or building the next tech empire. Your purpose can be anything that genuinely lights you up. Mastering a craft, building something from scratch, creating art, serving your community. The critical point is that women aren't your number one priority. They're an amazing, wonderful part of your life, absolutely, but they're not the sun that your entire world revolves around. When a woman picks up on the fact that you've got this driving purpose, she instinctively knows you won't be emotionally dependent on her for your happiness. You won't be clingy or suffocating. You've got your own engine running, and that's incredibly attractive. It frees you up to genuinely love women without needing them to fill a void they were never meant to fill. And finally, the fourth pillar, which might be the most transformative when it comes to actually talking to people, assume attraction until proven otherwise. This one is an absolute game changer. Most guys operate in reverse. They assume a woman isn't interested from the start, and then they spend the entire conversation desperately scanning for tiny crumbs of validation, a smile here, a laugh there, to convince themselves she might possibly be into them. They're constantly defensive, waiting for permission to act confident. The Casanova mindset flips this completely upside down. You walk into every single interaction with this calm, internal assumption that the person in front of you is open to connecting. If she's dressed up nicely, you assume it's partly because she wants to be noticed. If she makes eye contact, you read that as an invitation. You treat every signal as a green light by default. Now, before you think this sounds delusional, let me clarify. This doesn't mean being arrogant or bulldozing over clear signs that someone's not interested. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about giving yourself permission to show up confidently right from the opening moment. When you assume attraction, you naturally talk to people differently. You're more playful, more direct, more flirtatious right out of the gate. You're not sitting there waiting for written permission to be your most charming self. You bring that energy from word one. And here's the fascinating part. Reality has this weird way of bending to match your beliefs. When you carry yourself like someone people want to be around, people genuinely want to be around you more. With this rock-solid foundation of mindsets locked in place, we can now step into the external world, that heart-pounding moment when you spot someone you want to talk to, and this tidal wave of fear crashes over you. Your brain immediately floods with convenient excuses. She looks busy. She's definitely got a boyfriend. I have no idea what I'd even say. So how do you actually conquer that fear? Dave offers this brilliant perspective flip. Instead of obsessing over the conversation itself, focus on the fear. Make your real goal to do the thing you're afraid of, period. Every single time you face that fear and act anyway, you're building courage like a muscle. It becomes a personal victory no matter what happens after. He also introduces this powerful mental reframe called the reversal of risk. In the moment, approaching someone feels like this enormous risk. You could get rejected, feel embarrassed, maybe look foolish. But what's the actual risk here? The risk of approaching is maybe 1 or 2 minutes of potential awkwardness with a total stranger you'll probably never see again. That's honestly a tiny risk when you think about it. The risk of not approaching, missing out on what could have been an incredible connection, and worse, reinforcing the pattern of letting fear run your life. That's a massive risk. When you frame it this way, it actually becomes riskier not to take action. So you've conquered the fear, you're walking over, your heart's probably pounding. What do you actually say? This is where most people freeze up completely, searching for some perfect, magical sentence. But here's the truth. The opener itself is way less important than the energy you're carrying. Dave lays out 5 simple, effective ways to start a conversation. One of the most powerful is just going direct. You simply walk up, smile warmly, and say something like, "Hey, I know this is a bit random, but I saw you from over there and I thought you were really cute. I had to come say hi. I'm Dave." It's honest, it's confident, and it cuts through all the games and pretense. The secret is saying it slowly, with genuine warmth, not like you're reciting a memorized script. Another approach is the situational opener. You just comment on something you're both experiencing in that moment. At a concert, you talk about the band. At a bookstore, you playfully ask her opinion on which book looks more interesting. It's natural, it's pressure-free, and it flows. The point is, the opener is really just a key to unlock a door. It doesn't need to be brilliant or clever. It just needs to be delivered with confidence and warmth. But here's where the real artistry kicks in. A fantastic opening line delivered terribly is like wrapping an empty box in beautiful paper. Your first impression gets formed in mere seconds, and the wild part is, it's mostly nonverbal. Dave emphasizes a few critical mistakes you absolutely need to avoid. First up, talking too fast. When nerves hit, we tend to speed up, which screams insecurity. He suggests slowing your speech down to the point where it almost feels uncomfortably slow. That's usually actually the perfect pace. It radiates confidence and control. Same principle applies to your movements. Confident people move with calm purpose. Anxious people are all fast and jerky. Walk slowly, turn your head deliberately, and keep the fidgeting to 0. Then there's your smile. He makes this great distinction between a big, goofy, friendly smile, the kind that screams friend zone material, and what he calls a sexy smile. Picture more of a slight, knowing grin, almost a half smile that barely shows teeth. It's confident and carries a hint of mystery. Combine that with strong, unwavering eye contact, solid posture, and speaking from your belly for a deeper voice tone, and boom, you've created a powerful first impression before any real conversation even starts. Now the door's open, and you've nailed that first impression. How do you keep things flowing and avoid those painful, awkward silences? Dave suggests this simple but brilliant follow-up right after introducing yourself. Ask, "What are you up to today?" This question is actually a strategic tool. Her answer immediately tells you if she's rushing somewhere, has a few minutes to chat, or is completely free. If she's in a hurry, you keep it short and sweet. You might say, "Well, hey, I can tell you've got to run, but you've got a really fun energy. We should grab a drink sometime." You get her number and leave on a high note. If she's got a few minutes, you can dive into some light conversation. A fantastic technique here is using assumptive statements. Instead of the boring interview question, "Where are you from?" you can playfully guess, "You don't seem like you're from around here. I'm getting maybe New York vibes from you." It's way more engaging than drilling her with questions, and naturally opens up a fun topic. After a few minutes of solid conversation, you grab her number and part ways. The conversation's rolling now, but how do you inject that electric spark, that playful tension we call flirting? This is really the heart and soul of the entire book, and Dave's biggest insight is this: the single most important ingredient in effective flirting is intent. Most guys talk to women they're attracted to in this totally friendly, platonic way. Their actual words might be fine, but their energy reads as friend, nice guy, or interviewer. There's zero sexual tension behind it. The woman walks away confused, thinking, "That was nice, I guess, but what was that even about?" Communicating with intent means that through your eye contact, your voice tone, and your body language, you're clearly broadcasting, "I'm a man, you're a woman, and I'm interested in you romantically." It's not sleazy or aggressive at all. It's just confident, masculine energy that charges the entire interaction. It's the difference between getting labeled as a potential romantic partner versus getting dropped straight into the friend zone. So how do you actually do this with your words? Dave breaks down what he calls sexy flirting. He explains that great flirting is often subtle and leaves space for mystery and imagination. Instead of a blunt, on-the-nose compliment like, "You look absolutely amazing in that dress," you go more playful and indirect. For example, if she mentions she loves to dance, you could say with a grin, "Don't tell me that. Now you're just trying to get me picturing you on the dance floor." It's still a compliment, but it's implied and suggestive, which makes it way more intriguing and fun. Another killer technique is agree and exaggerate. Women will often throw little tests at you, playful jabs to see how you react under pressure. If she says, "I bet you say that line to every girl you meet," most guys get defensive and stumble over themselves. No, I swear I don't." But a truly confident guy agrees and takes it even further. He'll say with a smirk, "You totally caught me. My game must be seriously off today." Usually they don't figure it out until at least the second date. It shows you don't take yourself too seriously and you can't be easily rattled or thrown off balance. And then there's teasing, a crucial ingredient in flirting that so many guys completely mess up. Bad teasing is just insulting. It pokes at sensitive topics, like her intelligence, her appearance, or her family. It comes across as mean and insecure. Good teasing, on the other hand, is lighthearted and playful. One great method is to A/B certify something. If she mentions she's from a rural state, you can playfully ask, "Oh wow, so you grew up on a farm? Did you have to milk the cows every morning before catching the school bus?" It's so ridiculously over the top that she knows you're not being serious. It's just fun banter. You can also playfully challenge her, gently mock her accent in a fun way, or jokingly accuse her of hitting on you. Like if she accidentally bumps into you, you say with a smirk, "Easy there. I know you're trying to make a move on me, but I'm not that easy to get." Of course, flirting isn't only about the words coming out of your mouth. It's massively about nonverbal communication, too. Getting physically closer to her, leaning in to talk in her ear if you're somewhere loud, using light, playful touches on her arm or the small of her back. All of this is crucial. Physical touch breaks down walls and builds comfort and intimacy faster than words ever could. Now you've created a spark, but how do you build something deeper? How do you move past the mind-numbing small talk of, "Where are you from?" and "What do you do for work?" This is where countless conversations just die a slow death. Dave reveals that the secret is getting her to talk about the things she's genuinely passionate about, the stuff that lights her up inside. He shares this fascinating scientific discovery. Talking about ourselves actually activates the same pleasure centers in our brains as food and money do. So when you get someone to truly open up about themselves, they literally feel good being around you. The way you unlock this is by asking the right kinds of questions. Instead of short, boring interview questions that get one-word answers, you need to ask open-ended questions that tap into emotions and experiences. He provides 5 go-to emotional topics for creating real connection. 1. Her experiences. Ask about her travels, adventures, most memorable moments that stick with her. 2. Her dreams. What are her biggest goals and aspirations? What has she always dreamed of doing? 3. What she loves to do. What activities make her feel truly alive and excited? 4. Her passions. What subjects could she talk about for hours without getting bored? 5. Her motivations. This is the deepest level. Don't just ask what she does for work. Ask why she chose that path. What really drives her? When you ask these kinds of questions and genuinely listen to the answers like they matter, you move way beyond surface-level chit-chat into the territory of real human connection. You show her that you're not just another guy who's interested in her looks. You're genuinely curious about who she is as a complete person. At some point, the conversation naturally turns back to you. She'll want to know your story too. This is another place where most guys trip themselves up badly. They either start bragging and listing off accomplishments like they're reading a resume, or they give away way too much too soon and kill all the mystery and intrigue. Dave teaches that when you share about yourself, your goal is to convey attractive qualities through engaging storytelling, not by just stating boring facts about yourself. He highlights 2 key qualities that research shows are universally attractive: dominance and pro-social behavior. Dominance, in this healthier context, doesn't mean being aggressive, controlling, or domineering. It means you're in control of your own life. You lead, you push through challenges, and you go after what you want. You can demonstrate this by telling a story about tackling a difficult project, standing up for your values when it was hard, or achieving something others said was impossible. Prosocial behavior means you're fundamentally a good, caring person who gets along well with others. You're someone who adds value to people's lives. You can show this through stories about helping a friend through a rough time, volunteering in your community, or simply having great experiences with your social circle. The best vehicle for all of this is masterful storytelling. A great story hooks the listener right from the start, builds tension as it unfolds, hits a climax, and wraps up with some kind of resolution or lesson learned. Dave shares his own powerful story of quitting his safe, boring accounting job, moving to Vietnam with almost no money in his pocket, and systematically facing his deepest fears to build the life he'd always dreamed of. He doesn't just announce, "I'm adventurous and determined." He shows it through a story that captivates you and makes you feel something. Finally, the book brings us back to one simple but profound habit that ties the whole thing together. In any conversation, make it your mission to learn 3 genuinely new things about the other person. This simple goal completely shifts your focus from performing and impressing to discovering and connecting. It forces you to actually listen, stay curious, and make the other person the star of the conversation instead of yourself. And underneath all these techniques is one final, absolutely essential mindset: you must learn to genuinely love and appreciate women. Not as prizes to be won, not as trophies for your ego, and definitely not as some source of validation you desperately need, but as complex, emotional, fascinating human beings with their own dreams, fears, and stories. When you approach conversations from this place of genuine appreciation and curiosity, rather than neediness or ego, women can absolutely feel the difference. They feel safe with you, they feel truly seen, and they open up in ways they never would with someone who's just running some manipulative game. In the end, becoming a conversation Casanova isn't about memorizing clever lines or following some rigid script. It's an inside-out transformation of who you are. It's about building an unshakable foundation of self-worth, mastering the courage to take action even when you're scared, learning the art of playful and intentional communication, and approaching every interaction with a genuine desire to connect. It's ultimately a journey to becoming not just better with women, but a better, more confident, and more genuinely charismatic person in every single area of your life. As we step back and reflect on the ideas in Conversation Casanova, it becomes really clear that this book is about something much deeper and more meaningful than just talking to women at bars. At its core, it's a guide to breaking through the internal barriers that stop us from connecting authentically with other human beings. Fear of rejection, the desperate need for approval, the lack of a driving purpose. These are the invisible cages that keep so many of us stuck in lives of quiet loneliness and isolation. What I find most powerful about Dave's message is his laser focus on the internal game. He deeply understands that your conversations are just an outward expression of who you are on the inside. You simply can't fake genuine confidence long term. You can't script authentic curiosity or connection. These qualities have to be cultivated from within, from the ground up. The mindsets he lays out: taking full responsibility, knowing you're already enough, having a purpose beyond dating. These aren't just tips for picking up women. They're foundational principles for living a powerful, fulfilling, and meaningful life. In a world that's becoming increasingly digital, isolated, and disconnected, the ability to walk up to another human being and create a real, face-to-face connection is honestly becoming a superpower. This book serves as a powerful reminder that the most advanced communication technology we'll ever have isn't some app or device. It's our own voice, our own empathy, and our own courage. It demystifies what seems like magic, breaking it down into practical, learnable skills. It teaches us that charisma isn't some rare gift randomly bestowed on a lucky few at birth, but rather a muscle that can be trained and strengthened through practice, perspective shifts, and a genuine willingness to step outside your comfort zone. The ultimate lesson here isn't about becoming a Casanova in the old-school player sense, some guy who conquers or collects notches on a belt. It's about becoming a person who genuinely connects, someone who makes others feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated, someone who brings positive, confident energy into every space they enter. So how can you start putting these ideas into practice right now, today? Here are 3 simple, concrete actions you can take. First, for the next week, commit to adopting just one of these Casanova mindsets. Assume attraction until proven otherwise. You don't even need to talk to anyone new or do anything dramatic. Just walk through your regular day with this quiet assumption humming in the background. Notice how it subtly changes your posture. Notice how you naturally make more eye contact with people. Notice how it makes you feel more present, grounded, and confident in your own skin. Second, practice the habit of learning 3 things. In your next 3 conversations, whether with a barista making your coffee, a coworker, or a family member, make it your sole mission to discover 3 genuinely interesting things about them. Completely shift your focus from speaking and impressing to listening and discovering. Watch how it transforms the entire dynamic and energy of the interaction. And third, slow everything down. For just 1 full day, make a conscious effort to speak and move about 15% slower than you normally would. This will feel weird and unnatural at first, maybe even uncomfortable, but pay close attention to how it makes you feel internally. You'll likely feel more deliberate, more in control, more grounded and powerful. And watch carefully how other people respond to this newfound calm presence you're bringing. That was a summary of Conversation Casanova by Dave Perrotta. We've explored the core ideas and framework today, but a summary is really like looking at a photograph of an incredible feast. You can see what's on the table, you get the general idea, but you can't actually taste the food or smell the aromas. The real experience, the true depth and flavor of these lessons, comes from sitting down with the actual book yourself and digesting it fully. If any of the ideas we've discussed today struck a chord with you, if you felt even a small spark of recognition or a genuine desire for change, I really encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it cover to cover isn't just an act of learning. It's a real investment in perhaps the most important skill you'll ever develop, the ability to authentically connect with other people. Also, if you found this journey valuable and got something out of it, please show your support by liking this summary and subscribing to the channel. That way, you'll catch our next deep dive into another potentially life-changing book. Let's keep learning, growing, and becoming better versions of ourselves together.